Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest Maven webinar, where we'll be discussing a hugely important regional topic, the future of manufacturing in the Northeast. My name is David Nixon, Senior Investment Manager at Maven within the Northeast, and I will be your host today. Our agenda is primarily focused on understanding, from a manufacturer's point of view, the tailwinds and headwinds within the sector, alongside understanding what routes are open to navigate your future growth strategies. Our main event today, in about 10 minutes from now, I'll be privileged to introduce you to David Osborne, who is Managing Director of Newton Aycliffe-based shower manufacturer Roman Showers, and also the owner of Europe's largest shower manufacturing plant. David was also, until very recently, a board director of Made in Britain. But before this, I'm going to first run through a brief introduction to Maven, who we are, what we do, alongside providing a brief introduction from an investor's point of view upon investing in manufacturing and what's going on in the world within this sector. So who are Maven? Well, we're one of the UK's leading and most active alternative asset managers, which in plain English means we're a leading investor within the UK SME market, looking to provide capital and looking to back exciting business owners and management teams in executing their business strategies and realizing their business ambitions. We're a regional investor, so we have over 100 members of staff operating from a wide network of offices across the country. We have a strong belief in having local investors investing within local business. We provide a wide range of funding opportunities, and we also manage several funds, which I'll come to in a minute, which allow us to structure a variety of transaction types, from growth capitals to MBOs, using a variety of instruments, including debt, equity, and everything in between. So, in other words, mezzanine finance. But outside the high-level overview, what do we really do? Well, simply put, what we're looking for is exciting and entrepreneurial business owners at all stages within the business life cycle who have exciting plans and are looking for rocket fuel, looking for the growth capital to execute their ambitions and deliver their strategies. We're not sector specialist investors, we're SME investors, and we find working together collaboratively with ambitious business owners and founders to create stakeholder value is the best way to work and the best way to deliver and monetize growth and returns and successful results for all parties. Maven provides funding from 4 sources. The first source isn't on screen, and that is property finance. So I'm not a property investor, but Maven is a leading property investor across the UK. So rather than me discuss this, I will just merely state that if please get in touch if you want to talk to one of our experienced property partners to discuss property finance. On business financing, specifically SME funding, we have 3 pots, and we're able to invest to allow us to grow structures, debt and equity ranging from 50k all the way up to 20 million plus buyout type deals. We have a big focus on backing entrepreneurs, and we're one of the UK's leading VCT investors, looking to support typically young, dynamic companies, so under 7 million or 10 million if there's lots of IP involved, with checks of up to £5 million. We also have a big focus upon our regional model, again, where we can use our local expertise, boots on the ground, to help deploy regional funds, such as our North East Development Capital Fund or the Finance Durham Fund across County Durham, where we're looking to provide growth capital into local UK SMEs, as long as supplying and supporting local companies with growth capital up to larger event-driven financing needs from our MBO fund. So who are Maven? Well, I'm not going to talk through this side in a great amount of detail, but what I will say is that if you're looking for experienced and flexible local investors who want to work alongside you, working together in executing your business and personal strategies, creating value for your company, value for your staff and your local area and communities, people with solid grounding in the importance of doing things in the right way in business strategies and sectors, understanding the impacts of social and environmental stakeholders, then please reach out and have a chat with myself or one of my colleagues within Maven, and we'll be delighted to catch up and talk you through this in a bit more detail. So, manufacturing within the Northeast. So it goes without saying that in a region with such a rich manufacturing heritage as the Northeast, where we are today, that this sector is one that is extremely important. It's one that accounts for nearly 15% of the total economic output of the region. 1 in 10 of us in employment work in manufacturing. And as a region, we're responsible for over 5% of the UK's total goods export, which I think is a fairly impressive stat when you think about the overall population and within the region. So It's also a sector, as well as being important, that's witnessing some fairly huge macro shifts in both outlook and opportunities right now. So I'll run through briefly what we're seeing. So, Industry 4.0, which is essentially the growing use of automation, AI, Internet of Things, data analytics. This is growing exponentially, providing lots of data and ultimately driving opportunities for efficiency and productivity improvements. Smart factories, which is essentially leveraging the data provided by Industry 4.0 and the technology associated with that to create interconnected systems that reduce things like downtime, improve quality, enabling things like predictive maintenance to occur. 3D printing, so essentially additive manufacturing, provides opportunities to produce complex designs and tooling in-house, reducing waste, improving design times and lead times. Sustainable manufacturing. Well, sustainability is a key issue all around, and manufacturing is increasingly moving to circular economic principles, adopting renewable energy and sustainable or recycling in supply chains, which also improve output and can improve margins through efficiency. Advanced materials, so things such as graphene, nanomaterials, composites, are starting to impact processes and product capabilities. Reshoring and local supply chains is something we're seeing post COVID-19, which began to highlight some vulnerabilities in offshore or having large global supply chains, and resulted in people either reshoring them or bringing supply closer to shore to improve resilience and have more control over production. Skills and workforce development. So obviously the world and the UK and the Northeast needs skilled workers, particularly in areas of new digital technologies, robotics, data, etc., alongside traditional, shop floor manufacturing skills. So that's a key issue right now. Collaboration. So this is mainly, I'm meaning this is across industries and industry bodies, where sort of combining knowledge maybe across more technology companies into manufacturing companies to fuel knowledge, resources, and expertise to help fuel faster growth and innovation. So global regulations, we live in, I guess, right now, certainly times of shifting sands. And there's an increasing influence of geopolitics and regulation upon global trade and supply chains, which have some fairly profound effects. So these are the sort of macro themes I think we're seeing right now. But what does that mean when I'm sort of talking to regional investee businesses? Well, there's still a huge ambition and a huge potential for growth within manufacturing in the region, and pretty much everybody I talk to is looking to grow, or wanting to raise growth capital, wanting to explore opportunities. And and through that, it's one that Maven has invested heavily in across the region, certainly over the last 5 years. And through the course of these investments, I think I've seen about 5 themes becoming present within the region today. First one really is just investment and capital expenditure. So as I said earlier, for firms are looking to grow and they're looking for investment to fuel these plans, perhaps in part due to perceived retrenchment of banks post-COVID. There's an increasing demand for alternative finance providers such as ourselves to provide growth capital into these businesses. Recruitment is another one. So obviously the labour market has been tight in the UK for some time. And they're similar to the macro trends. Companies I'm seeing within the region are now looking to invest in training, upskilling staff, and also further recruitment to help drive growth. Thirdly is supply chains. So whether this is reshoring, as I touched upon earlier, or moving to a more sustainable supply chain, many firms regionally now looking to invest in improving supply efficiency and dependability of supply in order to sort of drive and fuel that growth. Sustainability again, so either driven by an ambition to wanting to improve margins, wanting to improve market perception of a brand or a product, or simply just regulatory concerns about what's happening in the future and wanting to future-proof a business. A shift to sustainable supply and product development has certainly begun. And finally, availability of finance, so sort of touching upon point one, which is sort of where I come in with a long list of opportunities, whether it's CapEx, recruitment, wanting to improve supply chains. One of the key things we often hear before we get involved is, well, I've spoken to my bank or I've spoken to a secondary bank and I'm finding it hard to raise capital. And availability of finance is a big issue, but one that actually when people explore the market, they'll find that within alternative means of funding, or private equity, venture capital, etc., there's lots of funds available to deploy and certainly invest within the manufacturing sector. So obviously, there's never really been a better time to discuss raising finance with an alternative finance provider. So yeah, I would encourage everybody to do that. And as a result of that, since we've been our Maven Northeast office opened over 5 years ago, we've invested substantially within the manufacturing sector within the region. And here's a selection of some of the names we've invested in, anywhere ranging from David, who I'm just about to hand over to, creating showers, to next generation semiconductors, to sustainable packaging, to canned and tinned coffee, to microfilm, solar powered technologies, do suites, doors, etc. There's so much we invest in. It's such a promising sector. So again, one we love, and one I'd encourage anybody looking to grow to reach out to us. So now I'm going to hand over to our main event, which is David Osborne at Roman, who's going to sort of talk you through his journey to date within Roman. David, over to you.
Thank you, David. Right, good morning. I think just to touch on what David was saying there, really, I think we're just going to talk you through our growth plans this morning, and I think trying to find mainstream banking to support something that's essentially entrepreneurial, needs to be followed up quickly is difficult. Hence, why we've had our conversations and links. Essentially, we're manufacturing in Newton Aycliffe. We've been we needed to develop our site. Basically, we've got opportunities within the marketplace, and we needed to jump on this and do things within a set time scale within the construction industry, where the window of opportunity is significant with international hotel groups and with house builders, where suddenly sustainability is the key buzzword, and essentially all our competitors are importing finished goods from China. So we had quite a significant advantage and needed to move ourselves forward quite quickly. Our site is all 400,000 square feet site with a tray moulding plant, fabrication and furniture, which is all the new things we've been investing in the last few years. So traditionally, we've had the shower enclosure manufacture. The rest is all bolt-ons, which is taking us into a new place, which is what I'll just highlight quickly. So we've been making, I think, what we term a more traditional core product, the enclosures, many different styles and sizes, and we've expanded that into many different colours. But essentially, that's what we've always been known for. What we've been doing is actually moving the full package on, and to give it a sort of one-stop shop, essentially. So we've been developing sustainable materials. Most importantly, really, I suppose, the solid surface stone, which is essentially using recycled. It's chemically dolomite, basically, and then moulding that into basins, into shower trays, and comparing it to acrylics, which are landfill only. It's a very big differential. What we actually end up with is solutions like this within the hotel market. So this is one with the Accor Group in Paris. So this is a Novotel and a Pullman. So you're actually producing the whole material in toilet cubicle, shower enclosure, and the vanity top, etc. And really, it might sound simplistic, but no one else can actually do that as a one-stop shop. So that's really what the opportunity for us is to develop this quickly. And then in addition, we needed to bring furniture in as well, which is what we've done. So we were never making anything to do with wood previously. Now we've brought in case goods and fabrication across this. And where we're operating, essentially, that's the opportunity. It's the three main groups for us. It's IHG, Accor, Hilton. Getting specified by those is actually very difficult. Taken us a very long time to get moving on there. And you can see the examples of the multi-brands within there. So it's a significant opportunity to jump on for us and capitalise the next few years. And likewise, some of the house builders there, I think particularly we'd pull out Berkeley in London, who are very different in terms of they want this. They're not about price. They're really wanting sustainable solutions. As David highlighted there, we've always been involved with Made in Britain. It's very close to us. We're pushing sustainable manufacturing all the way through. Made in Britain is a great differential for us. And then at the same time, standards, global standards, are now driven as a key part of sustainability, where a non-sustainable product is just a short-term investment, which is not really what the future is about. Likewise, we've been driving carbon neutral as another differential for us, where we've done our entire site here in Aycliffe in 2021. The most important thing for us is actually circular economy, and that's really what it's the one without a symbol and a badge, but it's really what our entire investment plans are based around, where we're in a different space to anyone else in our sector now. What that means is, yes, we're doing some interesting recycled work ourselves, but it's more the material going into them. So essentially, all our products are recycled before we use them. They're very easily recycled at the end of life, and more importantly, they can be reused at their original value. So they're not going into landfill. They're not going into aggregate. They're actually back to what they were in the first place. And that's really the crux of what we're driving, and that's really what the hotel groups particularly are interested in. So that's the key factor for us. And then of course with all the standards that go with it, which again might sound simplistic, but it really is very important internationally, because a lot of the products are non-conforming that we're competing with. Interestingly, good stat from our industry there. You look at the waste of the UK in 2018. 203 million tons of waste, 59% of that was actually from construction. So that's a huge factor. So that's really the cards we're playing in the marketplace. So empirically, we can prove all of our aluminium is recycled before we use it, probably 2 or 3 times. But we've developed a source with a joint venture in Malaysia, where the only supplier we have is actually using recycled material. Again, we're competing with products where people don't even know what city in China it's made from. So it really is very important differentials for us that we can drive to improve. Likewise, glass, we're not quite there yet, but we're showing about 80% of recycled content in our glass, and that's only going to increase and get to 100% in the fairly near future. Packaging for us, again, there's no plastics, there's no wood. It's entirely made from recycled card, and we have packaging machinery here to make bespoke boxes for every single product. Because we install for house builders in the UK, which is another big USP, we actually have to bring waste back from sites as well. So last year, we actually physically returned ourselves 700 square meters of packaging, in addition to what's already going through. And then, very importantly, our brass, we really struggle to even buy virgin brass these days. So it really is all from sustainable sources. And really, the thing we'll be doing with our shower trays is really important, where we know what's coming down the road in the next few years, which is the government's very focused on eliminating landfill, which means acrylics in our sector essentially. So the shower tray investment we've been doing is really not just with a recycled intent. It's hugely commercial in terms of getting us into a position quickly where we're actually using completely sustainable materials, and they will be taxing products that are landfill only out of the marketplace in essence. So for us, we had to move very quickly. That's not mainstream banking, and that's why we've built a strong relationship with Maven now, which was very quick and agile to come in and understand what we needed, why we needed it, and then back us in that basis there. So that's, if you like, our backstory and why we've sort of, I suppose, moved away from what you term traditional mainstream banking for investment and rapid growth, based around essentially a sustainable opportunity in the UK.
Excellent, David. Thank you. That was sort of some very fascinating insight there. Obviously, sustainability being a key thing. And one thing I didn't know actually the other day was chemical dolomite. That sounds very interesting, David. So it's very pertinent. Obviously, you know, and able to use these new materials and new methodologies to produce, you know, high quality hotel standard finishings as well, alongside things like vertical integration. And it's really interesting here you mentioned circular economy, which is something I mentioned. It's something we see a lot around moving to that, you know, the principles and investing within, you know, having, you know, circular economic principles of manufacturing is really interesting and great to see as well. Even, you know, the use of JVs, as you mentioned, your JV in Malaysia to deliver a sustainable supply chain within aluminium, and alongside, brass, glass, packaging, etc. Having all these things is fascinating and really, really interesting and great to see. We've got a few questions that have been delivered into a Q&A, just a couple that have come in externally. So I'll start with those. The first one for you, David, is what do you think the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity will be over the next 5 years? I think that's under the context of manufacturing within the region.
Yeah, I think it really is. I think to us, hence why we're doing what we're doing. It is seizing the opportunity now, because I do think certainly within our sort of sphere of construction, the world is changing now, and David's mentioned reshoring, more local manufacture. It certainly is happening, and I think it had gone too far. I think COVID clearly proved that supply chains were massively over reliant on China, particularly in our sector. So I think people have realised that the opportunity for us is actually capitalising on it, and it's almost a generational opportunity to be embracing now, which is exactly what we're doing. It's not instant. It's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5 years to really maximise, but we couldn't sit by and watch it drift away, because that's the time and the moment we needed to see. So that's, to us, that is exactly what we're doing. It underpins everything we're doing and our strategy and investment.
Excellent. And do you think there's any challenges on the horizon, David, particularly, or is it all wrapped into one?
I mean, I think the world is full of challenges at the moment, where you look at what's happening with interest rates. Does that slow up house building? At the same time, hotels are going very quickly. It's just balancing all of those and making sure you've got from our point of view, we've got sustained growth across sectors with the right contributions coming in from each of those sectors for us to balance and support the growth. And that is it. I mean, it is. I think we've lived in very uncertain times. It's just making sure we've got the ability to navigate the choppy seas that are out there still, and make sure we can keep maximising our opportunities and moving across sectors in an agile manner quickly, and capitalising on those chances.
And I can't miss up this actually too, because everyone always talks about at the moment is and I think this is a good point to bring in, just your views on the labour market right now.
It's certainly much tougher than it used to be. I think the Northeast, we were always a bit immune, where we operate nationally, and our installation teams, we always had challenges in the Southeast, particularly in terms of recruiting labour. Suddenly, for the first time in our history, essentially, we're I wouldn't say struggling, but we found it difficult to recruit quality staff in the Northeast now. I think you're essentially at a time of full employment, and that is itself. We've never had. I think we're not a complainer about Brexit. We've never had migrant or foreign labour coming in and out. We've always been long-term permanent labour from the UK. So we haven't been affected by anything external. It's just, I think we are at a point now of really very high employment, very, very close to full employment. So recruiting and training actually has been difficult, where there's a lot of challenges and competing opportunities out there. So making sure we've got a strong case to bring people in and sell them our dream and the chance of a career that is going to be rewarding for them.
So skills training, long-term employment, and delivering upon what the culture and the strategy of the business become more and more paramount, don't they? So.
Absolutely, and it's very much reputational. We've got a very good apprenticeship scheme. We've got that's stronger than ever. We're bringing in graduates at different levels. We've got a very strong training program throughout with different levels, and it's quite clear we sort of give people pathways that they can see at pretty much every level we're operating in. So that's it's never been tougher for us in terms of recruitment. But that's not to say we're not running short or light in that sense. It's just, I think it used to be a Northeast given, and it's not like that anymore.
Excellent. The last question is, so what does the Northeast have to do to maintain a competitive advantage as a manufacturing region?
I think we do have a good competitive advantage now. I think that the planning and attitude with local government seems to have really been a lot more relaxed in the last few years now. I mean, the work we're doing down with our our different plants down there. We really struggled with things previously, if we're being honest. Now suddenly much more cooperative, much more. I think people understand that things need to be done quickly and need to be done without these levels of bureaucracy and red tape, and that really does seem to have changed. Which that's really important, because you've got to be keep using the same phrase, but we've got to be agile. And I think the restrictions are certainly coming down from that point of view now. So on macro level planning, micro level planning, we've found it an awful lot easier the last few years, and I think that's really important. And of course, actually gaining financing as well is the other thing, because we've got to be able to have that the headroom, the flexibility to move and to make decisions quickly, and not be constrained by traditional bureaucracy of banking in that sense as well.
Excellent, brilliant. I think that's that was the last question of the day. So David, thank you very much. That's been a really interesting and insightful webinar. Learned a lot around certainly your views on sustainability, circular economy, and obviously what a great place the Northeast is to develop a strong business such as Roman Showers. So David, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
And that's all for everybody. Thank you very much.